Hello and welcome everyone to the OVRC. Welcome to round 5 of season 3 of the OVRC GT3 season. I am joined once again by Owen.
Hello everyone.
And yeah, welcome back. We're actually not back, we're first time in the season that we've gone to Imola. Obviously got added the last update for ACC and now we are racing here for the first time as qualifying gets underway. But quickly before that gets on, I'm going to quickly run over the standings.
Yep. So, leading the championship right now is Marcus Lawrence with 300 points, closely followed by Mike Stoffmill with 296, so he's only 4 points behind. And in third we have Tom Pottage with 226, with Mark Whitford closely behind him in fourth with 224. And then in fifth we have Jordan Grant Smith with 212 points. Then leading the team's championship in first is WND Wet Sports with 335, followed by PC/DC Motorsports with 300. And then in third we have Silver Missile Racing Team with 299, so only 1 point behind. Then in fourth is Virtual Drives by TX3 with 296. And in fifth is Flying Husky Motorsports with 261. And as always, if you want to see the full standings, you can do so at the link in the description.
Thank you for that, Owen. So, currently, John Dalton's leading out on track once again. As he's heading up to Valle Alta, the chicane. I'm going to butcher most of these names, by the way, around here. So, that's going to be great, as Mawson is right behind it in the AMG.
I think our viewers know what to expect at this point.
They should. They honestly should at this point. If you expect me to pronounce things properly, you come to the wrong broadcast. But then again, it's only one broadcast for the OVRC, so yeah, maybe in the future. Maybe in the future we'll have a broadcast that can pronounce things right. So John Dalton with Sarslap as goes down the very long start-finish straight. Across the line now as he goes under the bridge towards turn 1 or Tambriello. This consists of a left to a right to a left. Very quickly get the car around. Try and avoid too much of the curb. I think the Lexus can get away with quite a lot. And on gets on the exit. Don't get in the gravel there. Gravel will slow you down. Then head quickly down to a Villeneuve. Brake at the 50. Get the car around. You want to try and actually swing it over as far to the left side as possible. Give an exit as you head into Tosa. Quite a tricky corner. Especially tricky on exit actually. It's slightly off camber. And you then head up the hill to Periata. Yeah, another fan. But then starts going downhill towards Accamirale. Quite the hardest part of the track. I find it quite fun. Brake at 50. You can't brake all the way. You've got to brake again. And then you quickly snap straight up the hill. As you head to Valle Alta, which is the slow chicane around here. Hard on the brakes just where the curb starts. Get as much of the curb as possible you're allowed. Loose exit there by John Dalton as Foposi gets out of the way. Then get down to Rivarza, down the bottom of the hill. Brake about 100 just afterwards. And avoid hitting the gravel on the outside. So you line up to the start finish straight, and that is a lap of Imola. The first times will be starting to happen now.
Yep. So a 1:43.0 for Dalton. Olsen goes half a second faster. 42.5. And Nygaard slots into second. And Kerbal into third. There's much more times coming in. Sebastian Brunier slots into second. And Grant Smith just went into 7th position.
Marcus Lawrence was on his first timed lap right now. Quite interesting, quite funny. The reason why the pit lane is at Imola is so long, you cross the start-finish line going through the pit lane. So a lot of times they're being counted as improvements for like a second immediately, because they obviously crossed the line at some point. Marcus Lawrence going into the layout chicane right now. Let's see where he'll put. Obviously, prime target to win this race, being very quick all season long.
Scott Sofik just went into first. 42.3.
Good time by him.
Drago's Pipe just slotted into 8th position. So there's much more times coming in. Ryan Mawson went into 4th. Mike Stoffmill into 3rd. Marcus Lawrence takes P1 with a 141.4.
Half a second above Thomas Olsen. Benjamin Kerbel moves to P6. Grant Smith is got a 2-second improvement right now.
And Smith goes into 2nd. Most people have set a lap at this point. People who haven't are Mark Whitford, Joshua Devonshire, and April Carlsford.
Busy out on track right now.
Yeah, and lots of traffic in front of Mark Whitford. Like Stoffmill improving by 6/10 so far. As he is on the start-finish straight now. And let's see where he can go. And he will slot into 2nd position.
0.162 of Lawrence's time. Robert Nygaard, half a second improvement right now across the line and moves up to P5. People seem to be struggling up Akamiralale right now. Positive improved by 3 attempts right now.
Yep, a few more people improving as well. Ryan Mawson and John Dalton.
A bit loose through the chicane and loses some time with Mawson just behind them. So Mawson, who's also improving. John Dalton's on an improvement as well. Mark Whitford down 1.3 seconds up as he's quite far down the order.
So let's see where Whitford can go. He goes into 9th and John Dalton goes into 10th.
The 2 Lexus behind each other, teammate.
Michael Stasov on a 2/10 improvement right now as he heads around the final corner. And let's see if he can move himself up, and indeed he does. He moves into 5th. Right behind Mawson. Mark Whitford 3/10 up as he is about halfway through the lap. Scott Sovic is improving by a couple tenths so far, as he is getting close to the end. Scott Sovic on the straight now. Let's see where he can go if he crosses the line. And he moves up to 10th position. And overtakes John Dalston. Jordan Grant Smith improving by a couple tenths right now. Looks like he should be able to overtake Mark Stoffmill for 2nd position. And indeed he does.
1:32. So still not really got past Lawrence's time, but people are slowly getting closer.
Weston Brunier is 6 tenths up right now. He is currently in P14. Should be able to gain a lot of positions if he finishes this lap with this improvement. He is about to head around the final corner. 7 tenths up. Let's see where he can go. Was 14th and is now 10th.
And temps off the current pole time.
Timothy Gladdening improving by 4 tenths as he is, I guess, at the end of the first sector.
Just got its indicator on for some reason.
That happens sometimes.
Hey, those times someone's pushed it towards windscreen wipers. So if I start, I'll just wave the windscreen wipers. Some places also improving, but most of the rest of the grid somewhat either matching or not improving right now on track. Or currently on an outlap.
Timothy Gladdening about to cross the line. 3 tenths up on his delta. Like he should be able to overtake Victor Berlin. And he does, and moves into P15. Thomas Olsen is improving by a couple of tenths right now. Currently in P6. Looks like he might be able to get into 4th with this lap. The start finish straight now. And he will cross the line and move into P4. Not really seeing a lot of improvements right now, although a lot of people out on track. Victor Berlin is a few tenths up. Track goes by, a few tenths up as well, and he will cross the line very soon.
Few more improvements on that. Warren Mawson can improve and started also improving. Tom Pottage and Grant Smith all improving now.
Yep. Couple turns up for Pottage. Sebastian Brunier also close to the end of his lap, but not improving. See if Pottage can get an improvement. As he's on the start finish straight now. And he will cross the line, and he does not improve. Ryan Mawson and Jordan Grant Smith are both improving and about to cross the line. Mawson just staying where the final corner now. So indicating. So Mawson. Grant Smith moves into first. As Mawson did not improve. But we have a new leader in Jordan Grant Smith. Mark Whitford is getting close to the end of his lap, 4 tenths up right now. Should be able to gain a few positions this lap, half a second up on his delta. Let's see if that lap counts. And it does, and he moves up to P3. Max Stoffmill moves into 4th, and he is not improving right now.
Tom Pottage is on an improvement, 7 tenths up, going over the chicane now. A second up for Tom Pottage as he crosses the line and moves up to... Oh well. This is validated. That's by improving by 4 tenths now. Back across the line and moving us up to P16.
Only 1 minute left in qualifying now.
Yeah,
like no one is really challenging for pole position. Tom Pottage is about to cross the line again with a 3 tenths improvement. Let's see if that counts. And it does, and he moves into 6th position.
He's basically got 1 more lap now to set a time, and can you get that 5 tenths improvement?
Marcus Lawrence is still out there right now, but not improving so far.
Pottage pulls over, so he's abandoned his lap.
Thomas Olsen is on the start-finish straight, but he's not improving. Nygaard just crossed the line with no improvement, but he still has one more attempt. Thomas Olsen is abandoning the lap. Nygaard doesn't have another attempt because there's a 1 minute max wait time. It means Jordan Grant Smith won't get another lap in either. So Marcus Lawrence is about to cross the line, but is not improving. And so it looks like it will be Jordan Grant Smith who takes pole position.
Yes, there's only 20 seconds left, so I don't think anyone will be able to really change that, as most people are in the pit lane right now. Time is going out, and that is the end of qualifying, with Grant Smith taking pole position, followed by Marcus Lawrence, Mark Whitford, Mike Stuffmill, Thomas Olsen, Tom Pottage, Ryan Mawson, Starsiv, Robert Nygaard, and Sebastian Arunia round off your top 10. We prepare to head into the race very shortly.
Interesting little bit from the timetable is that it appears Tom Pottage is very fast in Sector 2. Even though he's in 6th position, he's actually fastest in Sector 2. Nearly a tenth faster than Jordan Grant Smith. So that is neat, I guess.
A bit of a lull now as we wait before race start. So the cars start to line up on the grid now. So, any predictions you got for this race, really, or you sort of keep fairly?
Well, it's interesting that Jordan Grant Smith is starting from pole this time around. I don't think we've seen that in quite a while. So it will be interesting to see how his race pace holds up. Of course, Marcus Lawrence is leading the championship, so he's got a very good chance.
Yeah, I think he's got a very good chance to. Obviously, Mike Stoffel behind him has been very strong in the race. Has been quite a bit off it. Mark Whitford's quite high up once
Yeah,
again.
that's a very good position for Whitford. Let's see what he can do with it in the race. Of course, as you said, Mike Stoffel, we can never really count him out. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes in the race. He's always very consistent. So yeah, I think he could still have a chance as he has his usual race pace.
So I've got to relog into the game because the client crashed, which lets me control the cameras.
That is unfortunate. Well, hopefully, I won't have to miss out on anything. 30 seconds until the rolling start.
Crash again. First time was great. That's what I wanted to every time. Sorry about this. Hopefully you'll let me in this time. I believe the cars will be starting to roll off the grid now. For 5
Yep.
seconds.
The countdown just ended. So the cars are about to get underway. As Grant Smith has taken off.
It's like nothing ever happened. Nothing at all. As the cars are now, as you say, underway, just in time. Well, it's the grid this time, maybe 25 cars. Now, I don't know how much it affected by this content being DLC, or maybe it's people just a bit busy today, you know, a bit later in the season now, so...
Yeah, I mean, we always see a drop off in participation as we get later into the season.
Interesting, there's I believe earlier there was a Lamborghini REX somewhere. Quite further down the order, so... Rare car, you see? Otherwise, it's a standard lot of cars we've got at this stage in the season. There has been some interesting things about the BAP. It does seem that the Bentley's been the most consistent car all season long in terms of where it sits in the grid. Other cars seem to be moving about all over the place, so I'm quite interested to see how it obviously pans out in the race. Obviously, it's no refueling, which was an issue for Mercedes at Spa. Apparently, they had to run a lower engine map.
Yeah, okay, so we have Sierra Thomas in last position driving the REX Lamborghini.
As everyone who's cruising Raya to Elton, I believe they'll probably start lining side by side very shortly. We'll start to head down the hill towards Rivarza. Saying that, the start-finish track is quite long, so maybe a bit longer. Lawrence is being quite aggressive on the warm-up of his tyres right now, trying to get as much temperature you can get into those before obviously the race starts. Quite a long run down to turn 1, so tyres and brakes will be cold, no matter how hard you try. So it might be quite difficult for all these Just be careful going to turn one's Temporello. Grant Smith stamps on the brakes a bit as field starts to form up right behind. As we prepare for round 5. As they slowly creep towards the start-finish line. We're about to go the corner now. As we go green for Imola, and good start by Lawrence and Grant Smith. Grant Smith will have the inside line as everyone now floods down towards turn 1. As Lawrence goes off the track and has to rejoin. Might lose position to Stoffmill now as well, as everyone comes parading down. Stoffmill with the inside line down to Villeneuve. Can't really get anything done, but has helped Grant Smith make a bit of a gap already. So, decent start for Lawrence, but lost it all in the first corner. And they make their way up the hill towards...
Oh, there's a car off in the background. I think that is Timothy Gladdening. Indeed it is. There's Ferrari with him as well. That is Victor Berlin. They have both dropped to the back of the field.
Something happened between those two drivers, quite possibly.
Good start for Mike Stoffmill, who has moved up to 3rd.
And he's got past Mark Whitford. But Mark Whitford possibly going for a move now down towards Varza as he's gained a bit of time onto Stoffmill. As the top 9 have somewhat made a bit of a gap now because Sebastian Brunier looks quite a bit further back to everyone else. That's not Sebastian. He's been passed by John Dalton. Sebastian moved down to P11. Lap 1 completed. Lawrence is trying to close the gap down to Grant Smith, who somewhat bolted using that advantage early as... Ooh, the Lexus of John Dalton is very wide in the background there, dealing with Starsiv, who is P9 and goes straight off at Villeneuve, rejoins the track, gets behind the Sovic. Not quite sure what was going on exactly there. Starsiv was P9 before the end of the lap. Now it's dropped down to P12.
Marcus Lawrence seems to be closing up to Jordan Grant Smith again.
It's closed the gap right up, and only a second gap behind. Let's see. Maybe Marco had a quick little mistake and it's going to be back up the pace now. So it feels like maybe the last time that the Microsoft had a chance to be ahead of Lawrence there. We'll see what happens. Lady seems very strong around here though right now. Getting a lot in the slipstream down towards turn 1, so that's definitely helping out quite a bit. And the straight is so long. I think it's longer than the other ones at Monza. So quite easy just to get a bunch of toe there.
And Molly has just overtaken Adam Wolf. He's up to 18th.
Bruno struggling a bit with pace. He's dropped down to P11 right now. Teammate is this comfortably in P5 for now. Alexis of Mark Whitford, who is lost position but still just forwards just behind Mike Stockmill.
Looks like Lawrence could be having a go at Grant Smith. They're side by side on the main straight. See what happens into turn 1.
Smith the inside
Marcus
line, but
Lawrence
Marcus tries to
make
go around
the move.
Still alongside each other. Grant Smith have the inside line in the next corner and will stay ahead of Marcus Lawrence. That was good driving by both to keep each other on the circuit. Very easily doing that sort of maneuver to jump one of you wide or just chop someone's nose off. Both drivers staying on track, and looks like, from at least from the TV cams, that was all fair.
Yeah, that's a tricky bit of track to go through side by side, but they handled it well.
Interesting. That's closed the gap to Mike Stoffman. I think Jordan will probably want Mike Stoffman to get in the way if all possible. I feel like he knows that Bentley is very quick and probably a bit, you know, uncomfortable being that close behind. So takes the cane and see some of the cars just clobber over the curves there, like they don't exist. Sometimes a little bit like they are. So head around down towards the start finish straight. Let's see what happens this time around. About the same distance this time around, so it won't be possible for the overtake to happen once again. Grant Smith not really doing anything to break the slipstream right now. Some drivers start to weave a bit just to, you know, break the toe up. But it looks like you'll have enough gap for now to stay ahead. A very close fight at the front here. Ooh, looks, at least from my angle, looked like Grant Smith was losing the rear end a tiny bit there. But around the order is a little fight going on down in P17.
Yep, Drago's bike just got ahead of Joshua Devonshire.
Valentine Millet's right behind those as well. Sebastian Tovic's is also right behind John Dalton down in P9. How much of a split cam at this point? There's a bit too much going on to watch it all at once. As Marcus Lawrence looks to go down the inside. Ooh, it's a bit of a... Doesn't close the door there by Grant Smith. For the last second, so it strips in front. Bit close indeed, and that's outside. Stoffman will be right behind now. Mike Stoffman's going to be following Grant Smith through, but which one will have the solo? The Bentley's very quick in the straight line. It's going 3 wide right now. As Mike Stoffman's down the middle of the two. Mark Whitford's just behind there looking for a little gap. Can they outbrake themselves? Ooh, just about keeps it there. Going 3 wide. Grant Smith on the curb a bit. Mike Stoffel in the lead now. Tom Pottage is right behind there as well. Grant Smith looking to make a move. Grant Smith now dropped to P3 now.
Yeah, loses 2 positions. Stuffmill in the lead and Lawrence in P2. Like Pottage fighting very closely with Whitford there as well.
Yeah, one of them was on the gravel there, and Thomas Olsen's close right up as well, with Mawson just hanging in the back there. Got a bit excited for a second. So let's see what happens now. Obviously, I feel like the 2 cars behind Stuffmill are the quicker, but the question is which one of those will try and get past each other. Both was casting very quick down the slipstream. Marcus Lawrence, very good. Switching before, but gets a bit deep into the corner, gets a bit close to the back of Mike Stuffmill, but so is Grant Smith, who puts a wheel in the gravel there, so he's not the most comfortable right now under the pressure. It feels like some cracks are starting to show as possibly Mark Whitford's having a go at him now, as Thomas Olsen's going to move on Tom Pottage behind. Down the inside, Grant Smith will have it. And bit form to the inside for the next corner. And we'll hold it together, but that's all the same. That's still alongside each other. As Thomas Olsen behind is also heading into Villeneuve. So Tom Pottage stays ahead. Grant Smith having to defend from Mark Whitford means he's going to be losing time to Marcus Lawrence up ahead. He runs very wide there. Breaks himself.
Both of them do, and
Tom
Pottage that's going to allow Tom Pottage to get past Mark Whitford.
Tom Pottage has been very opportunistic there, and to be fair, it's his move to make. You know, both of their cars go wide, and thank you very much. I will take that position off you. After a chaotic few last 2 laps, let's see if it does calm down. As Mike Stoffel under threat now from Marcus Lawrence in the Audi. Do wonder if he's going to be lacking a bit of speed right now. Marcus Lawrence forced a bit, just can't really make the apex if the Audi's alongside you there. Mike's got to really hope that Jordan can catch up a bit. Make a bit of a break. Already from Tom Pottage. Not the greatest, biggest one, but it's something at least. It's going to be quite interesting because all these drivers are going to want different things to happen now in the race. As Mark Whitford going down the inside of Villeneuve. Can't quite make it happen. That does compromise Tom Pottage's line a bit as they get a very long side jump. Tries to outbrake them down into Tosa. Tom Pottage with the inside line will stay ahead for now. I got slowly closing that gap. Right now, there's loads of other racing going on in the field as well. We just haven't had time to focus on it properly. And there they go. So Grant Smith 1.4 seconds off of Lawrence.
Stuffmill forming a bit more of a gap to Lawrence as well.
But as I was saying before, the Tom Pottage and the Mark Whitford side have a little go at each other. Each driver's going to be wanting something a bit different right now. So Mike Stoffman's going to want Lawrence and Grant Smith to have a fight between each other, slow each other down.
Looks like Mawson could be having a go at Olsen very soon.
The little train of cars is each time they slow each other down. As the top 3 cross the line now, we can see the gaps now. Lawrence is definitely trying his best to close that gap if all possible.
Yep. Stuffmill was about a tenth faster than Lawrence last lap.
Grant Smith was the quickest of those three last lap. He's being a bit quicker now. He's got some free air again, and he's got the pressure behind of the sort of mid-pack drivers. Saying that, you know, they're not far off. You can see how quickly that gap has formed. As soon as the top ones stop fighting each other, it's just the gaps are being stretched out a bit. Bastion Bruno currently P11, currently behind Starsiv, as that little crack's been shuffled around a few times. Slovak was leading it earlier, now Starsiv is leading it. Bastion Bruno's got some pace now, so he's going to possibly try to look something possibly in the next game. We'll see what happens. He also takes a really weird line down in the rally. Gap between the two leaders, though, is closed down quite a bit over that lap. Looks like we might have another case of dragging down towards turn one. Getting quite close enough, not quite. It seems that Bentley is better on the brakes than the Audi. Lawson is still behind Olsen, with Nygaard just sort of loitering behind those.
Yep. So we have gotten past the first 15 minutes of the race. Means the time for pit stops is starting to approach. It'll be interesting to see if anyone goes early.
Whifford's made a mistake because he's dropped off Tom Potters quite a bit, and actually in the race from Thomas Olsen and that lot as they head down the hill.
Yep, slow lap for Whitford.
Very slow lap by Sebastian and Starsiv, so they've obviously had a coming together at some point that lap. Sebastian goes very deep there at the... What happened there? They're both falling a few positions back now. Very slow lap, both of them. Of course, we can't really see what happened due to the replays not exactly working. Awesome. Right up behind the Audi now, Mike Stoffmill.
Yep, Lawrence starting to close up again.
Oh, size difference between those two cars. Really how big and small they are until they're right beside each other, but saying that as they head up towards the chicane now, let's see you've got a better run. Not quite the overtaking opportunity for chicaners, as you think it would be. A bit too sharp for that. The gap is definitely closing at a rapid rate, but Grant Smith's also closed down a bit this
Mark
lap.
Whitford is into the pits.
So the first stop...
No, he's retired. He's just disconnected from the server.
What, in the pit lane?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see him actually drive into the pit lane, and given where where the leading pack was on track, I was not sure how he managed to make his way into the pit lane. So
I don't think he'll be teleported back to the pit lane for a disconnect. I think Surely he had to
No,
do that
he
manually.
went to the pits and then disconnected.
Right. Something must have happened to him.
Yep.
Moves everyone around him at upper positions, Olsen, Mawson, and Nygaard, and John Olsen, he's somewhat just behind those lot for seconds. Really, it's moved up to P14 while we're not looking, so he's jumped up a few spots over the last few minutes. So, 20 minutes have passed. Smith is still chipping away at that gap, but not as quickly as you would expect. Quite honestly, given the fact that the upper head would be close enough to really start be interfering with each other's times. Or so you'd think.
Ooh, Volkov and Valkenstein get spun around as there's Michael Stasov. A bit of chaos going on there. Just tuned in to find them all spinning around.
Sebastian Brunner is waiting for the side, so I think he's hit him again. Or one of them has collided each other again. So Sebastian never. Clearly has good pace. He seems to be a bad luck magnet recently. He seems to be getting a lot of incidents around him. Not always his fault though, it sort of just happens around him, so he's not with the best of luck this time either.
We have a driver at the back of the grid going into the pit lane. April Colshort. Looks like that's going to be the first regular pit stop then.
Right, so yeah, it's going to be the first one. Right. Leaders are very close this time now. Definitely going to have tow assistance this time, turn one. Mike will probably have to hold the inside line going to the next corner, but he doesn't. Marcus Lawrence pulls into it, but not quite close enough to really make anything happen. Does get a fairly good run through the next few corners, though. Seems like Villeneuve seems to be the spot of choice for a lot of drivers to try to mount a pass. Playing that, goes possibly around the out and the toaster as well right now. Trying to hug the inside line there, Mike, and does so. Quite hard to overtake around there, because you know you sort of want to hit the apex, and you can't if a car's on the inside. So it does seem that Marcus is getting a bit wanting to get his move done now, as you probably can see Grant Smith closing up in the mirrors.
It'll be interesting to see which one of these guys decides to go into the pit lane first, as we are getting close to the halfway point.
Track is 38 degrees, so the tyres will be struggling a bit more than normal. Different sort of struggling compared to last week, where last week they wouldn't get any temperature at all. This time they're putting tons of temperature, and they can't get rid of it. You know, a night race and a race in the middle of the day. Grant Smith is... No, not. If only be closer. You know, after that lap of fighting, you think they'll be under us half a second, but it's just 8 tenths from what I can see. pits now. Will Marcus Lawrence trying to make anything happen this time around? So you'd think it'd be stronger. You honestly would think it's stronger. As you can see what we saw earlier on a few laps earlier, where we had a pack of 5 cars all together. You'd think the tow would be a bit stronger, but obviously not as strong as, well, at least I thought it would be. Closed up once again to Thomas Olsen. Fight for P5 continues to keep going.
Let's see, Gladdening is into the pit lane, so another driver at the back of the field, deciding to go for their scheduled pit stop.
They had a fairly, well, I think they had a lap 1 crash with Victor Berlin, if I remember correctly, so
Yep.
I'll get pit stop done now, as my 6 defensive line into Vivatza. That's allowed Grant Smith to close even further now. As
Lars pulls into the pits.
He calls his pit stop now. Obviously feels like he can probably get a bit more time in clear air. If I was Mike and Jordan, I'd be pitting in the next lap to counter that, because obviously it does feel like that Marcus Lawrence has got more pace in free air than being stuck behind Mike Stoffmill. Probably the logic there. Sebastian Brunion's got past Adam Wolf, though he's behind Starsiff once again, as those two have sort of dropped back. There's a few more pit stops going on right now as well.
Yep. Benjamin Kerbel and Valkov and Valkenstein also pulling into the pits. A few midfield drivers also deciding to go for the stop now.
Very crazy.
As Marcus Lawrence gets underway again. And he gets back up to speed now in P19 behind Seth Murray.
Every question for him: how can he deal with the traffic, as well as what does Stockmore and Grant Smith do?
As Seth Murray just outbreaks themselves.
Stoffmill and Grant Smith are in the pit lane, so they're doing exactly what I thought they'd do and counter the move. What they're going to do, both of them need a quick stop and to be ahead of Lawrence, because Lawrence is definitely very quick in his own free air. I don't know, he's got 3 seconds to the next car ahead of him. He's got a bit of time to himself, really, in terms of, as Thomas Olsen also heads into the pit lane.
Yep, John Dalton as well. But I think we should keep our eye on Mike Stoffman and Jordan Grant Smith. See where they end up in relation to Marcus Lawrence.
Marcus Lawrence is dealing
As they both get underway again.
Marcus Lawrence dealing with a back mark just now. The pit lane is very long, remember, here. So they got a long way down as Marcus Lawrence heads into the final corners now. Where will...
They are getting close to the pit exit. And so they are getting back up to speed now.
And Lawrence is nowhere to be seen. Oh, so they both have jumped Lawrence, who's going to slot in behind Grant Smith. So very quick stop by those two. If they will inherit the lead now, if I believe so. The ticket time hasn't quite updated yet, but there has been a change once again in positions anyway. Not for the leader. Myself
Two
and
more people in the pits. Sebastian Brunier, Phil Webb, and Zed Murray are currently in the pits.
Tom Pottage as well is just entering the pit lane now as well. So
Yep. Ryan Molson and Robert Nygaard are going in as well.
that leaves Scott Sovic as the current lead on track unless he pits now. Currently got his windscreen wiper on to signify that he's the fastest guy and he's going to win with his windscreen wiper. Everyone, P1.
Advanced aerodynamics.
Advanced. So it looks like we're going to have a freeway brawl to the end now with the three cars that, well, currently we're leading that pack before, now we'll come together. This time Grant Smith is the one in the middle. Zed Murray's got a stop and go 30 seconds, so I believe that is speeding in the pit lane, stop and go 30. Whereas the drive-through is just for driving off track too often.
Lots of cars in the pits. Ryan Molson gets back underway.
Tom Pottage is pulling out now.
Yep.
A bit behind, but you know.
He's pulling out in 7th.
Oh, it's a stop and go penalty.
Oh. That is very unfortunate.
Stop and go is destruction around here in terms of your positioning.
Yeah, it's such a long pit lane as well.
It's just going to be painful.
I mean, at least that's not the Spa pit lane.
It's not, yeah, not quite.
Could be worse.
Could be worse. You know, that's like, oh, I could have, you know, I could have shot you in the leg rather than the torso. You know, could. No, it's the other way around. I want to say that. Oh well, you get the idea. It's not much better. As a Wolf has got a stop and go 30. I think people are speeding in. That pit lane has got a very short distance between it and the timing line.
Yeah. Zed Murray has a stop and go penalty as well.
3 stop and go penalties. Imola, the real test of Imola. Can you not speed in the pit lane? The worst part for Pottage, that's basically taken P4 out of his hands after, you know, driving all the way up there. Now it's gone.
Victor Berlin just going into the pits. Zed Murray in the pits as well to serve their penalty.
Gap 3 in the top 3 is somewhat stabilised a bit, oddly enough.
Tom Pottage serving his penalty as well.
Let's see where that puts him. Zed Murray's also in the pit lane as well, probably to serve their penalty.
Sierra Thomas just pulling in as well. In the old Lamborghini.
And stop. Not just a drive-through, it's a stop and go. Like, you've got to stop there for 30 seconds.
Yeah. Victor Berlin's just completed his pit stop.
Spin the roulette wheel. Will they get a drive-through penalty?
Pottage gets back underway. So Tom Pottage gets back up to speed, but it will be down to 16th for him. Behind Sebastian Brunier.
Oh, let's put together.
As Ryan Molson gets a drive-through penalty.
That's for track extension, which is going to hurt his race as well. So another one falls victim to the very long pit lane at Imola.
Michael Stasiv is in the pits. One of the few people still to make a stop. As Mawson heads into the pits as well to serve that drive-through penalty. Looks like it's just Scott Sovic who has not made their mandatory pit stop at this point.
Doing the good old Tom Potty strategy of just never pitting until you have to. If I wanna pit, you have to pit. Oh, fine. Drives to the pit lanes. I mean, it does seem like the tyre change is a bit less strategy involved is because of how hot the track is. Temperature's obviously causing more tyre wear than normal. And as Mawson gets back underway outside the pit lane, I wonder where he will show up.
Scott Sovic heads into the pits, so that will be our last scheduled pit stop.
As Grant Smith has closed the gap right up to Mike Stoffman. Oddly enough, Marcus Lawrence dropping back a bit. Given his pace earlier on, you expect him to be right behind, but maybe he just doesn't have it in the freak. Maybe he just needs to be at the slipstream. All my logic in this race has been tossed out the window, you know? Like, I've overthought this, you know? I was thinking, oh, you know, it's going to have free air, it's going to be quick, and like, the other two just jump him. It's like, oh, okay. So, just a bit further down the hill, Glenling's under attack by Devonshire, and Collard's behind Berlin. All racing going on in the midfield.
Yeah, Scott Sovic is about to get back underway, and it looks like he will rejoin in 8th position. Or 7th, it looks like, because it was a backmarker who just overtook him.
Yeah, I think the focus was the leaders once again.
No, Grant Smith side by side with Stoffmill.
Going down to OVRC. Grant Smith alongside will just be ahead now going to the corner and will make the pass happen. So Grant Smith regains the lead. With Mike Stoffmill closely behind.
Yeah, don't know if Stoffmill maybe made a mistake there. I didn't see anything weird happen, but they were suddenly side by side.
Mike Stoffmill's got to hope he can hang on to Grant Smith now, at least to defend his P2, if not to have another go at P1.
Yep.
Definitely needs a toe round here. It's very powerful though. Key factor.
Crucially though, he is ahead of Marcus Lawrence, who is fighting for the championship right now.
I think that's the main point for him. Obviously,
only 4 points between them in the championship.
Both of them will have a... Well, the issue for Stoffmill is the fact is that technically Lawrence has always had his drop round because he had a DNF at Spa. So technically Lawrence will be leading at this point if the drop round is accounted for. As overall, Mike has had a bit of an up and down season. We've won win this season so far. And Lawrence with 3. Obviously, still Donington to play for after this, so you know it's not over just yet. But I've just opened the gap a bit further. But the gap behind.
Sebastian Brunier catching up to Victor Berlin.
Back on his way up the field.
Going down the inside of Berlin. And that is an overtake done, it seems. Though Berlin seems to maybe a bit faster right now, but he won't have the opportunity to do anything with that. And Sebastian Brunier moves up to P13.
Quite quickly gapping him as well. Half a second already gone out, so it does feel like Sebastian, again, Sebastian had great pace during qualifying. In practice, he was second fastest in practice. Not like practice is the be-all end-all, but...
Molly making the move on Falkenstein.
So,
Falkenstein trying to defend the inside. As they will be side by side again on the straight. Bit more speed for Van de Molliet.
Falkenstein slots in behind.
Van Molliet moves up to P11.
You can see that Molly is slowly pulling away.
Does seem like Grant Smith is increasing the gap to Stoffmill at the moment. As we have 18 minutes left.
Yeah, Grant Smith opened the gap up to Stoffmill as Lawrence is also still dropping back as well, so the gaps are slowly eking themselves out. Lawson is behind Kerbal again, so obviously Lawson did have a drive-through penalty earlier on for track extension, or too many track extensions. Now behind Kerbal for the fight for P8. That's a little fight between Mawson and Pill. Seems to be really feeling somewhat calmed down a bit over the last few minutes, but obviously that might get a bit more interesting towards the end of the race. It generally does. Ooh, bit of movement there from Mawson to try and get past. Makes the cutback happen. That was very nicely done there as Mawson moves up to P8 after what was quite a There's someone in the chat, internet, but saying Marcus went down as quality tyre set.
That's not a great idea. I didn't even know you could do that.
There are tyre sets in ACC. That's kind of a unfortunate mistake to make. I know you can select which tyre sets you use, and we do offer 30 of them, because we don't really restrict those at all in the race, because we're not really We rather have people on track rather than, you know, people that are sitting offline practice surfers, and then like, that's a bit unfortunate if he has done that. Explain his pace though. He's about a second off his fastest times, while both Grant Smith and Mike Stoffman have set faster times than their fastest time, obviously with the low fuel, but the fresh tyres playing into that. A bit of a shame for his race to be somewhat, not really cut short, but taken out of contention by that. 15 more laps to last before Thomas Olsen. Lucky the tyres will last the full hour. So he should be fine in terms of tyre life, eventually. But obviously they won't be in the best state compared to people around him. Tom is close up to Victor Berlin down in P15, so he's on his way back up the order as well after his stop and go. But the bad thing is for Tom Podgers, I feel like with that information we have now, it feels like they could have possibly done something and got like P3 off Lawrence if the fact that he was just close enough to really sort of make a move. Yeah, it did have to happen. Berlin's right behind Adam Carlisle, and Tom Pottage is behind those. Tom Pottage gets a very late move there on Victor Berlin.
Yep, same thing Sebastian Brunner went for earlier. It's like maybe Berlin just taking a bit of an odd line there, which allows him to be overtaken easily.
Maybe he's just terrified of silver McLarens.
Or that.
You just sees on the mirror like, oh no, silver McLaren. Just immediately he turns right off the track, like, oh, go away. And Tom Pottage
gets having a go at Carlisle.
There we go, and then make the move happen. So very nicely done. Dealt with those two. Nice move at P14. About 6 seconds off his teammate. So let's see if we can close that gap. Both of them being very quick. This race is Carlisle having a move back at Tom Pottage and will collect him on the move through. That's very late on the brakes there by Carlisle. Being a bit far back from at least the camera angle we were looking at. Not that has unfortunately ruined Tom Pottage. Well, put Tom Pottage a bit further back than he wanted to be. And to redo the move onto Berlin once again. Let's watch the replay back on the play on this YouTube stream. It does so. It's a half-hearted attempt at an overtake. It looks like, and it's sort of car goes a bit of a curb and hits Tom Pottage on the way through. Timothy Glenning is now behind Adam Carlisle, so he's looking to change positions up now. Devonshire and Jaguar Spy are all sort of there together now as well. Well, looking to move on Devonshire. Can't really make it work just for now, at least for that corner. 11 minutes to go. Still got plenty of time. Joe gets a very good exit now out of Acamirale. We'll be alongside into the chicane, but just over the inside line. As there's a bit of contact there. Car going slow, car going fast, both trying to go to the same place at once. Doesn't really work. As the leaders will be coming through very shortly as well. So the gaps between those ones have opened up quite a bit.
I would say Gladdening is also closing up to Adam Carlisle. course, Carlisle lost a lot of time last time due to that collision with Tom Pottage. And Glendening does seem to be a bit faster right now.
And looking down the inside at Villeneuve. Plans to back out a bit there. I don't think that's really on. Down the hill they go. That's ooh, it was a very late on the brakes for like Grenadine there, closes up massively to the back. Carlisle just about avoids going to the back of them.
Jacob's Vibe is very close to the back of Devonshire, as well as the leaders are in there as well. So that's going to make things a little bit more difficult for them.
It's going to be Grant's going to be moving fast, as you can see on the helicopter cam. Mike Stoff was right behind him. But one of the other Janet Bio can't exactly pull out because he's trying to race Devonshire, so gets out of the way for one. Mike Stoff was going to be coming through now. He's going to sort of lift off a bit there, so he does lift off and let the leaders run through. Now, what does Devonshire do? Obviously, he's got
looks like that has allowed Stoffmill to get a bit closer to Grant Smith.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's closed the gap massively now. They're under half a second.
They have one more car of traffic to go, though. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Devonshire a bit in the way. Stockmore darts off the track a bit.
Yeah.
Probably trying to run away, but as now they're closing up on the back of the next pack of cars, which is obviously Glenningham and Carlisle.
Yep.
Grant Smith will get past at least
Past Devonshire.
Yep. Got two more to deal with. Obviously, that time's actually helped him because Devonshire was held up a bit more by Devonshire, who gets out of the way now and allows Stockmore to come through. You know, Glenning and Carlisle, as you can see, are fighting up ahead just now. So, once again, similar situation. Drivers very close and sort of. Okay. Blue flags, sort of, you do have to eventually get out of the way, kind of thing. It's a general gist, but at the same time, they're having their own race. They don't have to dive off the track immediately just because the fast people are coming through. But saying that, Glennon gets very close. Grant Smith there, and Stockmore's coming through just behind, so he's probably going to have a bit now since his battle boards have broken up a bit. He might have to just let Mike Stockmore go through, and he does. So he does sacrifice his own race a bit there, but he did make a mistake on his own accord. I feel like that's the fair thing to do.
And of course, Carlisle is going to have to let these guys pass as well, as Joshua Devonshire gets a drive-through penalty.
Gets a bit wide there for Raleigh, as he's trying to make a move on Glennie, and now as Grant Smith flashed the light at Carlisle to let him through, and So he does. Now he's going to get just in the way of Mike Stoffel. Oh, Stoffel got very close there indeed. I feel like it's not a great time to let them through because you're sort of on the next corner. Stoffel does get through.
Devonshire pulls into the pit lane to serve his drive-through penalty.
I'll go with 5 to be up to P18 and have a go at Gledingen now. Tarsif is currently behind. Oh, now and is be beyond a second. Well, not beyond a second, within a second. There's a few more drive-through shots for Alan Wolf as well. So, again, a few more late drive-through penalties going on. I think drivers got to be so more careful. 5 minutes to go. Getting drive-through now would completely and utterly destroy your race at this stage. It is not something you want to have. I mean, it's the case in any race, but especially around here, as you mentioned, the pit lane is really long. Really, really, really long.
Yep.
There's the fight between, for P at 16, it all closes up now in the last few minutes as well. Robert Nygaard still within striking distance of Thomas Olsen in case a mistake happens there. Started with her ball as well. We're going to hop on board with that as Started got a few battle scars on the front of his Aston Martin. A bit of a tangle earlier with Sebastian Bruni a few times, it does seem like, judging by what's happening in those two. Be a back marker in front of Starsurf and Bevel now. Close, but somewhat there. I'll probably try and make a move happen very shortly then. And Glenning right behind Carlisle as well. Trio heads up the hill now. Carlisle is with defensive line coming into the gate. Break a bit of toe, drive by Joe's very deep there and has to cut the course, so he's somewhat removed himself that fight for a bit longer now. And he's going to look down the inside right now and say we'll close on each other, and Carlisle gets a bit wide and has to go on the gravel and loses it and does allow Glennie to move through.
Michael Sassev getting really close to the back of Benjamin Kerbel. And quite go for the move there.
There's 1 minute 40 to go, so exactly where the leaders are on their laps, but across the line after this point, it'll be one more lap to go. As Sassev makes a mistake, then loses a bit of time.
Looks like there will be one more lap after this one.
One more lap for everyone to make any sort of move they need to.
Yep, the leaders are about halfway through their laps right now. So they will cross the line before the end of the timer.
There's Blythe once again back onto the back of Carlisle to head into the game. Pushed a bit onto the grass there. Has to parking his car in the middle of the road. That should be okay. Back on Falkenstein in the last few minutes as well. So we'll be starting the final lap. Oh, dropped 10 seconds back. Luckily for him, Olsen's not really catching quick enough. But obviously that mistake, that wrong set of tyres, has really hurt his race massively.
The checkered flag will drop this lap. Timer has just run out.
See who will be crossing the line now as Grant Smith heading down towards Aquamirale now. So not exactly long to go. Mike Stuffmill just behind him, but not exactly close enough to really make anything happen on the last few laps.
Looks like Benjamin Kerbel has made a mistake this lap. He has suddenly dropped behind Michael Stassev.
That's been right behind Falkenstein right now as 2 more corners for Jordan Grant Smith to make to take his first victory for the season. And has he won before? I can't remember now. What was going to happen with the first one for the season? So he'll cross the line and take P1.
For some reason the session end screen came up early. Not sure why that happened. Boris and Olsen have also crossed the line now. Robert Nygaard has crossed the line. John Dalton will cross the line in P6. And then it will be Scott Sovic following shortly afterwards in P7. He's crossed the line now. And then there will be Ryan Mawson in P8. Michael Stassev will finish in P9, followed by Benjamin Kerbel in P10. Next will be Vante Molliet in P11 and Sebastian Brunier in P12. And followed by Valko van Valkenstein in P13. And Victor Berlin will finish in P14.
Not sure what's
Sorry,
going
Berlin
on.
finished P15.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with the end there, but obviously Grant Smith did win that race, followed by next up on launch are your podium. Olsen, Nygaard, Dalton, Sovic, Mawson, Stassev, and Kerbel are your top 10. That will be it for round 5. I hope everyone did enjoy that race.
Yep, I think there was a lot of great racing there. So if you enjoyed it as much as we did, we would really appreciate it if you could press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to catch Our next race, which will be next week, the finale of this season of the GT3 Series at Donington. So subscribe if you want to see that.
Yep. Until then, everyone, we'll see you then. Stay safe.
Goodbye.